Guys, welcome back and let's continue with the next part. So a lot of core concepts of uh, Terraform we are going to guys discuss today. Okay. And also one more interesting plan, right? Because now we know two different clouds, right? Technically what I mean by this, now we know how we can automate two different kind of cloud with the help of Terraform. One is AWS cloud and one is GCP cloud. And because we know to automate those two clouds, so I'll try to show you one interesting strategy of multi-cloud today. Okay, so there will be multiple strategies, but one of the strategy we are going to discuss, plus also we're going to implement today. Okay, so one of the plan or agenda for today is to show you one of the, or I can say some of the strategy behind the multi-cloud. Okay, and because we know because we have a knowledge of two clouds or more than two cloud. Okay, that is a GCP and also AWS. Okay, so what we will do, we write some Terraform code, and this code will do something for you. And if the code is doing something for you, so I can say this code will be your project. Okay, so we'll go and create a Terraform project, and this project will one single project or one single program file. Okay, going to do something on GCP, or same time they will go do something on AWS. What they do something is all the strategy of multi-cloud. So what I'm talking about in some few minutes you come to know, guys, what exactly I'm talking about here. Okay, before this we have to cover multiple basics concepts, very basic core concepts that very frequently we have to use in the Terraform world. Okay, so let me cover those basic concepts, then we will move and try to explain you what strategy I'm talking about here. Okay, so there's one thing. The second thing here, because guys, now we have to write lots of Terraform code in one project. Okay, and I explain you guys, it is good practice to create one project. Project is also known, you can use the word called workspace. Workspace also known as folder or file system. So any of the term you use, they are almost the same. Okay, and in one folder or one workspace, you have to create multiple files. One file will manage the provider information, second file will manage the variables and XYZ information. So as your project become more and more complex, more and more bigger, so managing those files with the notepad or basic text editor will be a little bit challenging. So now from today onward, to managing our projects or workspace or our folder or this multiple code, I'm going to use some IDE. Okay, or maybe I can say I'm going to use some kind of code editor tool. Okay, code editor tool. So now guys, wherever you guys are comfortable on, right, there's a multiple code editor or IDE kind of tool. Not exactly IDE, but something like this. So one of the tool is Sublime, one of the editor tool is Atom, but right now I'm going to use one of the tool that is very commonly used. That's called Visual Studio Code. So it is a text editor or the code editor. Somehow it also works like IDE, means integrated development environment, where we write the code, manage the project, manage the file, run the file, test the file, debug the files. So almost everything we can do by one single tool. Okay, and maybe you guys are very new in Visual Studio Code, so it's pretty simple. It's a free tool. You just go and search for not over here. Just go and search for Visual Studio Code, download, and this is the link where you can download this this particular program or software based upon your operating system, Windows, Mac, and Linux, right? So if you want to use this one, you can use this one, or if you're guys comfortable in other tool, you can use other tool, whatever you want to use, that would be your choice. So I already downloaded Windows, and after downloaded, I double click and it is there in my Windows. So I will directly go and spawn that tool. Okay. So final plan would be something like this. So I'm going to create one new workspace in the same folder in the Terraform here. And here I'm going to create a folder called multi, okay, multi-cloud. Okay. And in this folder, I would like to keep all of my files. Okay. That would be a plan. But I'm not going to create a file from here the way I keep on doing till date. What I'm doing to do, this is the folder. I would like to load this folder in Visual Studio Code. So I can search for VS Code. After install, it is there. I double click. This tool open. Okay. And in the top, in the file, there's option called open folder. And in the open folder, you go to your respective folder of wherever you have created your workspace. Multi-cloud, just go and select. This folder guys come up. It is the getting started page. Just click cancel. I don't want this. So this folder come up. Right now there is nothing. In the left side is called left panel, or I can say file structure panel, or explorer. It is nothing. So there's icon here. Do you want to create a new file, or you want to create a new folder? Let me create a new file here. Okay. And one of the file we always use is where we keep our provider information. You can give any name. Better I'm giving the same name, provider.tf. Extension tf is very important, you guys know. Okay, enter. This file created. Okay, same file you can see also here. You can see this file created. Now in this file, what information you want to put, that would be your choice. In according to our plan, we would like to put multi-cloud information. But right now, before I go for multi-cloud, I have to explain multiple small concept or very core concept of Terraform that we use very frequently. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, I'll again go to registry. Right now, again, let me use AWS Cloud. Okay, and I'll go to document. Same thing I'm doing very quickly. Authentication part, multiple way to authenticate. I would like to use profile way. Okay, and let me post my code here. And okay, and I would like to use AP South one. There's a Mumbai. You can use whatever region you want to use. In my case, in my laptop, I already have a profile called default. Okay, and how to create this profile default? Pretty simple. If you don't have in your laptop, okay, you can go and download AWS CLI. Okay, so even though guys, in my initial class of AWS, okay, I have provided this information, but let me very quickly just search for AWS CLI install for Windows. Okay, here you can go somewhere, you can go and download the command line for Windows or Mac or Linux. Okay, so you can find some link. So there's a link. You can go and download, double click, install it. After install, go to Windows command prompt, AWS command come up, and you can use configure command, enter, put your access key, put your secret key, post your region name, and enter. That's all. When you do so, automatic, it will create a profile called a default profile. And the access key, secret key that you created for in your IAM, that you know how to create, I have already discussed to you. Paste here. This information is stored somewhere in the file. That file is known as default file. Okay, if you want to check also, there's an option called list profiles. Okay, you can see this when we create this one. I created extra, but this you will see create. Okay, so in this default profile, or you can think it's a file name, these information stored. Okay, and this profile I am giving the reference here. Okay, so we have one provider, nothing special here, one single file, nothing more we have here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, let me run this code. Technically nothing, but at least we have provided information, so it will download plugins for you. Okay, to run the terminal, either you can go to command line where the project is, you go here, or in your Visual Studio Code, in the top, you can see terminal. There's an option called new terminal over here. Okay, it open in the same Visual Studio Code, it open a command line terminal. So we write the code, we run the code, we manage the code. That each region is called code editor, or maybe I can say IDE. So management would be pretty simple here. Okay, so here this is a Windows prompt. Again, we can run Windows command line command here. Okay, and this is the first time we are creating a project. So let me use Terraform init. It will download your respective plugin. So till here, you guys know nothing very special here. On the fly, I can see this folder created for you. Okay, so as a plan for today, I have to discuss, guys, lots of concepts. Okay, lots of concepts in the Terraform. One of the concepts would be data types, or how to manage the variables. There's one concept called TF variable file in the Terraform. There's a concept called count index, iterations, right? And those kind of concepts. It's very commonly used concept and very much important concept we'll discuss. Okay, so let me start one by one. Let me give you multiple explanation here about data types or variables or how to manage the variable. Then slowly after you guys comfortable with this concept, then we go for conditions, loop, okay, count indexes. And after you guys are comfortable with this concept, we'll use this knowledge and our previous knowledge and to solve one of the strategy of multi-cloud. Okay, so let me start one by one. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one more file here in this folder. You can give any file name, but it's good practice if you are creating a variables. So just try to give a file name variables .tf. Okay, and here I'm going to create a variable, and because this is the IDE, so automatic this option come up if you click, or you can use your mouse to select whatever you feel like, and just give a variable name. Let me give the variable X and close. That's all. So this is a way to create the variable. You guys know nothing very specific. And if you want to output the value of this variable, there's output function. You have to always give some name to every keyword in the Terraform, and we can use value to print the value of X. But this X is the variable we created. So we write var.x, means this variable we created and we are giving the value of X. Okay, so again, till here you guys know. Okay, but there's no value of this variable X. So there's a keyword called default. I can say value of this guy, let's say hello. Okay, so if I run my code again, how to run, you guys know, Terraform apply. So they will go and read all the files. And here you see they ask yes or no. I say yes, and they print this O1 output is hello. So till here again, you guys know nothing special. But if you don't provide, okay, yeah, one more thing, guys, to understand here. Terraform is not a language actually, is a framework. Okay, but they support data types. So whenever, guys, you create X as a variable, hello is the value, but internally they also maintain the data type of X. And by default data type they use is string. Even though if you see here, the hello printed with double quotes, anything put in the double quote, it is a string. So by default data type is string. If you tell here or if you don't tell here, so there's a keyword called type and the value is string. So there's a by default data type if you type this keyword line or not. Okay, again, if you see here, same output come up, hello come up. So this is a by default. Okay, this is one thing. Second thing is, if you don't give any default value, so it means you are saying that we have defined X, but there's no value. But if you're using X somewhere, okay, if you're using X somewhere, so in this case, if you reply, they will auto prompt here. So it is like anybody who use any language, you know, scanf function in C, or on other language we have input function or input F function. Okay, So they will ask you prompt that can you give me value? Let me write Vimal. They take Vimal as a string. They apply here, and this guy will print it. You can see, guys, they print the Vimal. Okay. So let me, I don't know why they ask again. Maybe I run 2 times maybe. So let me give Vimal. They print the value Vimal. Why? Why they ask 2 times? Okay, so they actually asking yes or no. Okay, so they give the Vimal. So this is the way. If you want that you don't have fixed plan, whenever you run your code, they always ask you. So one of the good example for this is this one. Okay, for example, if you go to your document of Terraform, and let me go for one example of AWS instance right, and let me launch one instance. You guys know how to launch. So let me launch one instance, and for the guys, I'm going to create one more new file. Okay, and I can give mean.tf file, but my plan is to use some more cloud here. So better I'm going to use AWS underscore mean.tf. All the AWS things I will put in this file. Okay, so this is a simple code. Let me remove the tag. I don't need it right now. Make the code very simple. Okay. 1 minute. Okay, and let me use T2 micro here. And my instance AMI, let me pick the AMI name from our last code. EC2 and notepad EC2 storage. So let me pick from here. Otherwise I have to go and log in there. So okay, so now guys, when I run this code, it will launch your AWS instance with T2 micro, and always they launch with T2 micro. But I don't want this. So what can I do? Okay, I can give the reference of my variable. This is called X variable. So I can say here, I don't want to fix your value. We have variable called X. That's all. Pretty straightforward. Now, whenever you apply the code, by chance they also print also, but same value they are going to use here also. So in this case, if I run my code, delete. Okay. So if I run my code, let me squeeze this. There's in the left top side, there's an Explorer here. I click here. This part is squeezed. Okay. And when I run my Terraform apply again. Now this time they ask me the value, and this time I say T2 medium. T2 medium. Okay, so my user will plan which instance they want to launch. And what you will see, this time your OS would like to launch with T2 medium. So in the top, they mention here that you selected T2 medium. So on the fly, everybody can can decide which type they want to use. Okay, so this is one thing you can do. So this is one of the use where this kind of default kind of setting you can use. But technically, if you have to give a lot of variables, don't give a variable name called X. The better name might be instance type, something like this. So always be very clear what variable name you have. Okay, but let me go for X only to make it more simpler. Here in this case, this is one thing. Now next thing is next thing over here is if you want to pass this variable value, either you can define in this variable file here, or if you don't define, they will prompt you, or if you want, they don't prompt you, you will put in your command line. Because guys, if something prompt you, that might be very much harder to manage. If you create 100 variable and all the 100 variable will ask you continuous again and again when you run. So it will, it doesn't looks good. Every time you have to pass the value by entering. So that will be again manual effort. Okay. So one more facility we have, I want to use a variable because variable help me to pass the value, because the good practice is when you create a code and this is your main code or resource code, and after create the code, it is good practice, guys. Don't change anything in the code. Okay. And you will think in the code, some of the part you have to change in the future. There you can go and put the variable. And the variable is also known as parameter. And this kind of code is known as parameterized code. So make your code parameterized as much as you can. The good practice is after you create the code, try not to change the code. And you can think in this way, this code is designed by your developer and other team going to use this. They might don't know Terraform. So we provide this code and we ask whenever you run this code, we will prompt you. And that time you put your key name, your security group name, firewall name, data center name, or maybe your instance type. So this is the way we normally plan. Okay. So this is one thing. But second thing is, now either you can fix the value, but technically this code is designed by me, and other team gonna use this. So it is very harder. We don't know what exactly which instance type they want to use. Okay, so mostly guys, we don't want to fix a fixed value here. Okay, so I can set the fixed value as it is always T2 micro because my team might going to use different instance type. So that is the reason we always either don't fix as a default value, or maybe sometimes it's good to have a default value because maybe have thousands of variable. Not my other team gonna use could give all these information customized. Maybe they have something fixed and something they want to change. And for this, what normally we do, we create a variable with some default value that by understanding our historical information or previous information, what is the normal trend in this company, in this project, what is the normal instance type or AMI they use or key name they use. But we also want to give a flexibility in this way. And if anybody want to change something, their default value, in this case T2 micro, maybe T2 medium, okay, as instance type. So we are giving a flexibility. Either if you know Terraform, just go and change here, but it's not good practice to change in the code that is created by some other team. Okay, by the other team, that their duty is to just run the code, maybe manually run the code or ask the Jenkins or the tools to run the code, something like this. So what I'm talking about here, finally, I'm talking about if you want to change this value on the fly while running this code. So what can we do? Let me again open my terminal. Okay, what can you do? Okay, so if I run my code, again Terraform, apply, they prompt me, even though they don't prompt me because I fixed the value T2 micro. So they will pick T2 micro only. Let me say no. But maybe this team want to change the value of X on the fly, then we have a keyword called happen where in the prompt. And we can say we have one variable called X and their value I want to change, say T2 medium. Okay. So if you don't type this, automatically all the instance will launch with T2 micro wherever you use this X variable. But this team or this, maybe this time we have a requirement, we want to use T2 medium. So without going to code, because it's not good practice to go and change the code, we can directly pass my value in the command prompt. Now, if I hit enter, what you will see, this time only when you're applying the code, your value become T2 medium. Even if you check in the top also, your instance gonna launch with the T2 medium. Okay, so that is a one more interesting thing we can do, but it is only possible if you can create a variable. If you fix your value here in your resource, the T2 micro or something like this won't be changed. So you have to properly plan it. Okay, while creating the code or infrastructure as a code, you have to plan your respective future strategy, and you think what uh, can be the requirement of my team or my other team, which part they want to change on the fly or they have to change again and again. So there you go and put the variable. Maybe they want to change AMI, variables type, data center AZs, or maybe keys, and put all the guys variable there, and their values defined here. So either they give the static default values, or don't give the values, just define it. Okay, this is, and that is the reason we always created variables.tf as a different file altogether. Okay, this is one thing. Okay, one more thing here. Okay, because normally the trend in the market from last couple of decades, especially the IT guys, admin guys, or infrastructure guys, they love command lines. They are very comfortable with the command line, this kind of command. And mostly they are not always very comfortable with the code. Okay, so maybe initially we happen to use shell scripting. That is again some kind of command line only, but typically IT guys don't like command, don't like a code. But nowadays, because of the automation we need it, there's a different point. But this is the normal trend if you talk about last couple of decades or years. Okay, so, but they love command lines, or second, they love configuration files. So anybody who are here from IT domain, I can say admin domain, from Linux admins or something like this, you guys know very frequently we are very much comfortable with the config file. We open the config file, go and change something there. Okay, so same kind of strategy Terraform also support. So they say if you want to change somebody values, okay, so let me do here. Let me do one small change here. Let me copy this block, paste one more time, and let me comment this line so that it will be your actually your small notes for you. Okay, and here what I'm doing, I am just defining this variable. Okay, why you are defining this variable? Because if you don't define a variable with a variable keyword, you won't able to use anywhere. Because using this variable X, so somewhere maybe in this file or some other files in the same project, you will define it. But here I'm not defining any type. So by default type is string. I'm not defining any default value. So it means they will prompt when you apply. Or if you type this way, it won't prompt you. It will use X or T2 medium. So it means you construct, you put your project in a constraint mode. Constraint means if you want to use anybody want to use this project, they have to pass the value of X. Either they pass, sorry, either they type here, or if you don't type, we will prompt. Okay, this thing there. But there's one more approach Terraform use. Okay, what approach? The approach that normally and typically we use in our normal day-to-day life. So they say all the variables that you have, okay, don't change in the code, don't change here also. That's why I explained to you. Okay, and maybe I might have not one single variable, right? If you have one single variable, I can pass it. Mostly, if you write a bigger code, your number of variables may be hundreds and hundreds, maybe 200s. So typing every variables here is very, very hard. Okay, and that is a reason what Terraform has done. They have given the same approach that we used to use in our normal configuration file. So they create one config file and they say here, in this config file, we give the key value pair that normally you have in any configuration file. Just go and change that. We auto pick from there. What I mean by this. Okay, so in this file, in this project, I'm going to create one more file. Okay, and guys, here by chance, this file name is fixed. You have to give the same file name, otherwise it won't work. So file name is terraform.tfvars. This is a fixed file. Okay, and the use of this file work like a configuration file. Enter. And now in this file, what can you do? You can tell your variable name equals to their value. Let's say T2 large. Okay, then you might have one more variable. Let's say the value would be, let's say AZ1. Okay, so this file we just use to create a value and the variable and the values, or key and the values. And it normally look like like a typical configuration file, like Apache server file, NFS conf file, and typically postfix conf file. So any of the servers, guys, we have the conf file, something like this. Okay, so motto of this file is, let me remove this. I don't have this variable. Only I have X. Now, motto of this file is, now let's say you are the developer of the Terraform, you create the entire project. You write a provider information, you write your all the resources information here, and you plan, this is the things I want the guy who gonna use my project, because I'm the developer, somebody gonna use this, they have a capability to change here, but to change, they don't have to come to this file, they don't have to come to this file, because this file again belongs to me as a developer. I am a developer. Here we define all the variable name with a data type, a string or maybe Boolean. Okay, now if anybody want to use my project, they have to just come to this file. This is the configuration file or variable config file. Just go and change something here. So again, they have changed here. So they changed the variable x, y, x, because x is the variable we had created. Okay, now if I run my code with Terraform apply, what you will see, okay, normally when we don't define variable, they prompt. But this time, guys, they don't prompt. Here they put T2 large because they pick from this file. Even though this file we haven't used, and guys, this is a new extension you see, is .tfvars. So tfvar is special extension here in the Terraform. It means this is not the file to write a code or resources definition. Here you to give your variable and the values or key value. This file is meant for this purpose only. Okay, and the file name is also fixed. The file name would be terraform.tfvar only. If you change the file name, it won't work. So let me show you. If I rename this file, let's say c dot something, and now this time if I run my code again, okay, they prompt me again because they don't look for this file, they only look for file .terraform.tfvar. But there's a way because you change the file name. Okay, how they come to know? So there we can pass a keyword called var files. Maybe you have some requirement, you want to change your file name, maybe you have. So you can pass this variable. Oh, sorry. You can pass one. In the Terraform, you can pass this variable. Terraform apply and say my var file is different. We have changed the name and name is cf dot this one. So you can change the by default var file if you want. Maybe you have some specific requirement, then they pick from there. But technically, as such, we don't require to change. But if you want to change, you can pass this option to do it. But let me again rename. I don't want to change. Okay, so this one. So finally, guys, what I'm trying to explain you, it is a pure plan in terms of management of your code. Put all the code in this kind of file, and wherever you want to give a capability that somebody will pass on the fly their parameter. So parameterized all those properties. And whatever variable you use, you have to define it. Otherwise, without defining with the variable keyword, it won't work. Okay, but just create this kind of file where you keep this key value pair with some default values. Okay, so anybody who want to use a project, they will go and change whatever they want to change. But here you put T2 large. Here you put T2 large. Okay, and while running, the way I show you, have a var while running. If you part x equals to T2 micro, okay. So in the file, it is T2 large. While running, you are telling T2 micro, the priority will always go to command line. And it's also logical, guys, because I fixed it. It's called default. Anybody who is using my project, they might want to change the type. So on the fly, they can change if they want to do. So now they have the two choices. Either they can change on the fly on the command line, or they can change on the fly. So on the fly, they can change. So if they want to change on the fly on the command line, they can change. or they come to this configuration kind of file and they change there also. So it depends upon the finally who are going to use, how they want to use it. Okay. Or maybe you can think in this way. Let's say this project has been run by some CI/CD tool like Jenkins. So this command we can run in the Jenkins, and there I will pass Jenkins, run this project with T2 micro. Something like this you can do here. Okay. So this is one more information here. Okay. One more information I want to explain you here. Okay. Let's say this is the value they are giving as an output. Okay. Here, guys, they support a conditions also. But before the condition, let me explain one more thing. Let me create one more variable. Let's say y. Okay. By default, type is string. It's a string, but I'm not giving any default value. Okay, default value. So, but let me print the value of x, value of y. Okay, so what I'm trying to show you in a minute, I'll show you. Okay, and one more thing I would like to do here. Let me comment this line. I don't want to launch any resource here. Okay, so just simple, nothing special here. Just they print the value of y over here. So what I'm trying to show you here. Okay, so when I print the value y and if I type true, they print true. Okay, as a string. But maybe I have a requirement. I don't want to print true as a string. I want to print true as a boolean. Why they put true as a string? Because here by default type is a string. But here, if you want y to work as a boolean, means true or false, there's a keyword called bool you can use here. Okay. Now, if I again run my code, they asked me true or false. Now I'm typing true. I say yes. This time, guys, there's no double quotes come up. And anything that doesn't come with double quote is they are special character. Here is true, true is a special character here, and true and false work as a boolean. And now, if let me try one more time, if I type value Vimal is obviously not boolean. They give me error. They said this is the boolean, true or false we require. So if you want to create any variable as a data type boolean, they have to pass especially the keyword called bool to make it a boolean. And now why boolean is so important? Because guys, boolean is very interesting thing, is a game changer in the planning world. So boolean we normally need if you create some conditions. Conditions. Okay. Condition may be something like this. Okay. If I want to do this, check this condition. If condition match, that is exactly equals to true. Okay, then I will do this. If condition don't match, that is exactly equal to false, then I go to else, then I do this. So this concept you guys know, and any of the programming language we have. Okay, and normally, typically, we write a condition if or else format. And there's one more way, guys, to write the conditions. Anybody, multiple language support that way. That's called ternary operator way. Okay, how it work? So we write a condition. Okay, then we write question mark, then value, then colon, then value. This is some ternary kind of operator, work like condition only. Okay, how this operation or expression work? Okay, if this condition match, means it come true as a boolean, then we will provide this value. If true come, when the condition is false come, we provide this value. Okay, that's how this expression, this quaternary of expression work. Same way like if or else. Okay, so and for writing the condition, we can go for different condition operator, less than, greater than, double equals to, not equals to, something like this. Okay, then let me show you this practical here. Okay, but understand one more thing, guys. Here in the Boolean world, okay, true and false would be in a small letter. Okay, capital letter doesn't support in the Terraform. It should be true and false without double quotes and in the lower case. Okay, this one thing. Now what I'm doing here, okay, this value, guys, right now either be true or false. Then what I'm doing, I'm putting question mark here. And let's say I'll say Vimal. Then colon, I'll say Jack. So what the meaning of this? Okay, if this is true, when it's true, when I pass true here. Okay, if this is true, then output Vimal will be assigned to this guy, and this guy will print Vimal. If this is false, then they will print Jack. So let me show you. So if I are true here, you can say Vimal print. But if I say false here, they will print Jack. Guys, one more thing I'm doing, I don't want to type yes again and again. So there's an option called auto approve. I always show you. Auto approve will automatically run your code. So I said true, they print a well. Okay, so that's how this guy will work. So why is so useful, right? So then here, guys, we can do a lot of planning. Okay, we can do a lot of planning here. Let me show you one interesting use case where I can use this. Okay, so use case, again, let's go and move to our very interesting use case. Here is called multi-cloud strategy. So in multi-cloud strategy, there's a lot of things we can do and plan. Let's plan one small strategy here of a multi-cloud where I'm going to use both the cloud GCP and AWS. Okay, so for planning would be something like this. But before I plan, let me first create one more file for GCP. Okay, how? We already had a file, guys. Let me pick the code from there only. So to save our time. So in the same project, but let me first go to our folder that I created yesterday. Okay, and here, let me copy this provider, Google. Okay, and now in the same project, I'm not changing the project. I would like to use both the cloud. So I have to put both the provider name. So I'm putting both the provider name in the same file. So this file contains Google also and AWS also. And because we added new provider, so what we have to do, we have to use Terraform init command to tell if we don't have a driver, go and download, and they will start downloading a driver or plugin for Google. This is one thing. Second thing, I wanted to launch a Google instance. Okay, so what can I do? I create one more file here. Here I'm going to use GCP _ main.tf. Here we put Google information. And this code that I created and we created yesterday, let me post here. Copy and paste. Okay, and again we can do this kind of planning. Let's say machine type I don't want to fix. I would like to use var.m type. Okay, is a variable name, and let me define this variable here. Okay, so now I have one more variable that is called m type, means machine type. Is empty, means they always prompt. I don't want their prompt, so let me fix this value. It's called m type, is let's say m2 micro. This is also one of the type. So E2 micro, I think there in the Google Cloud. So when this file run, okay, they go and see, does this variable available? Yes. Any value? No. So they go and look in this file. Any value? Yes. They will pick this. They will run for us. One more small thing I have to do here. This file required this credential in the same folder. I don't have. So I'll copy from here and paste there. Okay. So for this, 1 minute. Let me copy graphically, download to document, Terraform project, this one, Google, copy this one, and in my multi-cloud, let me paste it. This is a key yesterday, guys, we have created. Okay, now if I run my code, nothing special here, but what you will see, even though let me run my plan actually. So what you will see, they're asking for value of y. Let's say nothing true here. But what do you see, guys? They are going to add 1 and why add 1? Because I commented this line. Let me uncomment. Let me again run plan. And what they're doing here, you see, guys, here when I run my project, this time they add 2 resources. Okay, one of the resources, guys, they are going to add, if you see, go and up in the Google Compute, this OS, and one resource they're going to add in AWS called this one. Why? Because I have in this project, I have both the files, and both the file asking to launch their respective instances. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. Now, what's the plan? So plan is something like this. Okay, let's say we have one app, website maybe created by my developer. Let's say there's a web app. Okay, and now, guys, is very common practice. Okay, technically we have to finally launch the app in a server so that everybody in the world publicly can see it by hitting the server. So these kind of servers are normally known as production servers. But the good practice is, guys, whenever you launch any new app come up or new version come up, we don't launch directly in the production server due to multiple reasons. So what we do normally, we launch one more instance. Either we have or we launch. Okay, and we first put our code here. And after we put the code, we have a different team, normally QA team or testing team will go and check our project or this app. And after they check everything working fine, they approved by QTM, quality assurance team, and then this code will go to production world. Okay, something like this, right? So this thing you guys might know. Okay, now it means I need 2 instances, one system for testing and one system for production. Okay, but these both are the instances. Okay, now if you want to launch this OS or this instance, where you launch? Maybe I can launch both the instance AWS cloud or my VMware infrastructure, or maybe in Kubernetes, or maybe in GCP cloud. Okay. But nowadays, what normally we do, okay, based upon the requirement, different strategy. Let's say one of the strategy may be cost management. So we have to plan our things according to cost, right? Because if you launch this instance or launch this instance, they start charging per minute basis or per hourly basis in the cloud or public cloud. Okay, but after we analyze and according to the requirement, we come to know GCP cloud are cheaper per hourly basis. Just as a hypothetical point, I'm talking about here as in terms of cost planning, and AWS cloud is a little bit higher in price. Okay, but this cloud is more scalable, more I can say reliable in all the forms. This cloud maybe, but they're not so much maybe. Okay, so what can we do? Okay, so while launching this instance, and by the way, who will launch this instance or this instance? Again, the Terraform. So I can ask my Terraform if we are doing something with respect to testing, then launch this instance in GCP cloud. But if you do something on the same app, if you want to launch to the final world or production world, then launch this instance in the AWS cloud. They might charge you more, but they might give you some extra benefit or facility or extra reliability maybe. Okay, so here one single Terraform project. Okay, one single app we have maybe in GitHub or other SCM tool. Okay, everything same, one single project. But when I apply this project, over here, they will automatically detected that you are going to launch this app for the testing world or for the production world. And how it work, how they detect it. So that's what, guys, I'm going to discuss. There we are going to use a concept what I try to explain you here, conditions. So condition is one we're gonna use here, this kind of condition. How? Okay. For this, I have to explain you one more concept here. Let's can hold for a second, please. So how can you use this? So before this, let me explain you one more concept. Then we'll connect both the guys and we'll solve this particular use case. Okay. So for this, what I'm going to do, let me explain one more concept. Let's say I'll go for this one. And when I run this code, one instance will launch. Okay. But if I want to launch 3 instances, pretty simple. What can I do? I can go and copy this code one more time. Okay. 3 instances of this AMI will launch. So let me show you very quickly. And apply. It failed because only thing is you can create an instance with same API, same type, but your name should be unique because you guys know this name is a reference. So let me give the name 1, 2, some unique name I'm giving here. Okay. So when I run Terraform apply, there's nothing. Just because we added there in the code. So you'll see guys 3 instances for the AWS will launch. Total 4 come up, 3 AWS and 1 GCP. And if you see in the top, so there's the Google Cloud. But if you see in the top, this is the one of the instance from AWS. Again, if you go second and third, first also you'll see. Okay. So this is one thing. But technically, if you want to launch 2 or 3, you can copy the code one multiple time. But right now this code is very small because we're not doing nothing much here. But if you add security group, VPC, keys, so code become big or the resource block become big. And if you want to launch this instance maybe 10 times or 100 times, maybe you have a requirement to do some testing. Okay, then copy pasting this thing multiple times is not the big good thing. Okay, so what can we do? We can use a loop. Okay, so if you want to do same thing again and again, obviously the concept of loop come in play. And for creating a loop, so what I'm going to do, let me first remove this. Let me also give this again same name web. And if you want to run any resource block multiple times, 5 times, 10 times, so we can create a loop here. And creating a loop is so simple. There's a keyword called count equals to 5. So this means this loop will run 5 times. Means this block will run 5 times here. So 5 total instances will create. Okay, and this count is not only for this keyword. Anytime wherever you use resource keyword, you can use count. That resource will launch 5 times. Okay, and now if I run this code, it means by default value of count is 1 always. It's by default value. So you see guys, total 5 instances of AWS launch and 1 instance of GCP launch. So count is a very commonly used keyword. We use a lot. So total 6 come up, and very quickly if you go up, you can see web 4 and Intel guys, they create a list actually. The square is list. What is list? In a minute I will explain you what is list here, but this is the 4th one, 5th one. This is the 3rd one. So total 5 they launched for us. Okay, so there's one thing. Now this strategy we're going to use, okay, for our planning of what? Multi-cloud. Okay, now strategy would be something like this. Now focus over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do in my variable file, I'm going to define a new variable. Okay, let me give any name, but typically we use this kind of variable is test. Okay, it's a variable name. That's all. Nothing, none of the values here. Only one thing I am doing here, because this value finally would be true or false. So I would like to specially define that is a boolean. So each test is one variable I defined here. Okay, and that's all. And now what I'm doing, I'll go to my AWS cloud. And what I'm doing here, I'll change the value of 5 and say there's a variable called each test, okay, their value would be Boolean, either true or false. If true means somebody want to do testing, and because you are AWS, in the AWS we don't want to use testing, so give the value 0. 0 means if this is true, then the first value will come up. So this 0 will apply to count. And if count is 0, this instance won't launch. Okay. But somebody type, do you want to test? No, I say false. If this is false, then value is 1. And 1 will apply to count 1, and this system launch. And when this value will false come up, if somebody will type, do you want to test? I say, no, I'm not testing. This app is for production environment. And I want to launch instance in the production in my AWS cloud. And same type of thing I will put in the GCP cloud. Again, go to GCP. Again, I'm going to use a count. Again, I'm using variable called is test. It's a variable name. Question mark. If somebody type true here in this variable, it's means they want to test, and Google Cloud will be meant for test. So I will pass 1, otherwise I will pass 0. So 1 means if this is true, 1 as a value go to count, and count 1 means launch 1 instance. That's all, guys. So it's one small conditions and variables and tricks. This kind of strategy we can plan. Now this time, if you guys remember last time, same project, if I launch 2 resources launch, okay, let me do a small change here. Let me comment this line because there's no use of this Y. Let me remove this. I don't know. Okay, now this time if I run my Terraform apply, it asks what is the value of its testing. So do you want to test your code? Obviously, first time I code come, I want to test. I say yes, I want to test my code. So can you launch me testing environment? They say yes, I will launch a testing environment, and according to plan, a testing environment should launch in GCP. So if you go and check up, only one resource they launch, and where they're launching in Google Cloud. They're not touching anything in AWS Cloud. Okay, but same thing if I do again, and I say, do you want to test? No, I don't want to test. This is my final one. No testing. Directly go and deploy in the production, and production environment would be my AWS. And if you guys see here, now this time they launch one resource only, but in the AWS Cloud. That's what they launch. So this kind of planning, guys, we can do here. And now rather than they type yes or no here, we can also write in where its testing value equals to true. Okay, so we can also pass directly in my where keyword also. So they won't prompt you. Okay, and directly they apply. So directly they apply and they launch in Google because we want to test. So testing will be done in Google Cloud. Okay, so one Terraform code, one project. Okay, but we are doing multiple things in multiple cloud, depend upon the use case to use case, requirement to requirement, where these kind of small concept variables conditions gonna help you. Okay, this is one thing. Let me show you some more thing here. Okay, let me explain you a more type of variables we have. So let me go here. So by default, variable type is a string. We can define Boolean. Okay, we can define some more variable here. So let's say variable may be data center. Okay, so normally, guys, if you talk about Mumbai, if you talk about AWS cloud, they have multiple data center that is also known as availability zone. So very quickly, if I go to Terraform instance type, and if you see here, okay, here you can define your availability zone. And if you look at availability zones, there are multiple availability zone in every region. Like in Mumbai, I believe they have 3 availability zone. Okay, and detailed list you can go in respect to cloud. document, you can go and check. Okay, but let's say we have planned to launch our instance in a respective availability zone. So let me copy this keyword, and in my AWS, let me put my AG name here. Okay, either you can fix your AG name here, or you can go in the variable and say this is my data center, or maybe you can use the word called AZ for AWS. This is my variable name. And because there's no one single average zone or data center, same thing, there's a multiple data center in respective region. Okay, so let's say what I'm doing here, I'm going to set up a default values because a fixed, there's only 3 in Mumbai by chance. So I can say AP South -1A is one of the data center name in Mumbai. How I know? You can go and check the document. There it is listed. Second one is 1B, and third one is AP South 1C. Okay, and because there is a multiple values, then this data type obviously won't be a string. And if you want to store multiple values, then a type is normally array, and here the array is list. Data type of this variable would be work like a list. So it would be list. Okay, and now, and because this is a list, so to tell the list, you to write this guy into square bracket. Square bracket. So this variable would be a list. Okay, how can I check this? This will work or not? So let me use the output and say, oh, to something, some name I'm giving, and let me give the value. And let me give the value that I have variable called AZ, this one. So to test everything working good or not. Okay, so so I have created this variable, and this variable is a list and having multiple values. Okay, and to test, let me test this. And before test, let me comment this line for a minute, and also let me comment this line, and also let me do count equals 0. They won't launch. Also, let me comment this line and make count equals 0. So they won't launch. So it won't impact our time. So what it will do, because I asked to print. So yes, and guys, the print like a list. The toList is an internal function. We'll talk guys about Terraform function in the upcoming class, and they print all the values. Okay, and because they're lists, so typically what are the operations you do in the variable in the list in other world also you can do it. For example, this value is person 0, person 1, person 2, and if you're only interested to print person number 2 means 1, 0, 1. So this time they will only print the value that is on the person 1, means as second person. And my second person, I have AP South 1B. So they will print AP South 1. Now, how can you use this? So when you're launching AWS Cloud, there you can pass that my every zone, we have a variable known as AZ AWS. And in this variable, I have a number 2. I want to launch my instance there. Let me use count 1. So they launch 1. So here again, I am defining my variable in the variable file. Okay, and the developer who want to use, they can just give the reference which data center, which AG they want to use. Okay, now if I launch this time, because we have a count 1, they launch 1 instance, but this time they launch in if you see here in the top, they will define which AZ they are going to use. So here, see, I think you've seen there. So they mentioned there AZ is 1B. Okay. So this is one of the use case you can go for this in the list data type, or maybe some other kind of you can think we can also think here. Like this, there's one more data type normally in the programming world. So anybody who know Python, we have a dictionary data type. If you guys know Perl, we have hashes data type. If you know other languages, we have map data type. So they're different name, but they are the same thing they do. Okay, or sometimes they have multi associative array. Okay, so the multiple name, whatever language you guys know. Okay, so what difference, what I'm talking about, we have one more data type here in the Terraform called map. Okay, so difference is something like this. For example, if you have created list, let's say in the list you store A, then B and C. So these are the values. Okay, but the portion of the values is 0 and 1 and 2. So this portion, guys, is not given by you. It is a system give this person or index number. Okay, but sometime if system give the index number, it's very harder to understand what is there in person 1, what is there in a person 2. So you go to the code and check always. Okay, in person 2, okay, 1B is there. Okay, so person 2 I have to use, and I accordingly I use person 2 here. Okay, so sometimes, guys, it is very handy if we can give our own person name. So rather I give 0, 1, 2, I can give my own person name here. Let's say my person name would be ID. I can give the person name here, let's say name. I can give this index name here, let's say let's say remark. So if you create any data type where you give your index name or person name and you give your values, so this is known as key, and this is known as value is called key value pair. Key value pair, key value pair. And this kind of data type here in the Terraform called map, or in Python dictionary, hashes, maybe associative array. So multiple languages, every language has different name, but this is the whole and sole idea. Okay, so same thing we can do here. Okay, we can create a variable. Okay, let's say our plan is something like this. Okay, our plan is something like this. If I launch if I launch my AWS instance in Mumbai region, then I'll use T2 micro. But if I use my instance in let's say Virginia region, I want to use T2 nano. So this might be the plan. Okay, so for this, what can you do here? So we can create a variable. Let's say variable is my instance types, just a variable name, and type here is a dictionary. Technically it's called map. So map is my type. Okay, and here we are defining a default values. You could tell this is the map. If this is a string, you use double quotes. If it's a boolean, we just write like this. If it's number, we can write this. But if this is a list, we write this. But if this is a map, you write in a curly braces. Okay, and here we can type the value, and I say if my key is US East 1, some random number I'm giving here, maybe this might be North Virginia. So then I use T2 nano as my instance type. If I use AP South 1 Mumbai, so if any instance I launch in Mumbai, I will use T2 micro. Or maybe one is US West, whatever region they have, maybe Canada something, I will use T2 medium. Okay, so that's what we can do. So technically, this is key and this is value. After value, we have to put comma. Normally. Okay, so I think they support comma. Let me check. So this is a variable, guys, we created, having created up called map. Okay, just for testing, I'm just giving output. Let's say 03, just some unique number I'm giving, and value would be I have a variable called types. It's just a variable name. Okay, I'm just testing here what the output gonna come up. Okay, let me also use the count 0, so nothing will launch. Okay, now if I run my code, this time they give you a function called toMap, and they create this map for you. So they print complete, but if you have a requirement, you only want to print the value T2 micro, but so we know technically micro will launch in AP South 1 Mumbai. So we don't have to count at which position this will come up 1. And if you this is a list, you have to count it 0, 1, then 1 you have to use. Now you have to just remember Mumbai or name of the Mumbai. So I can say here, whatever the name of the Mumbai, just print there or use their instance type. So this is a way in the square bracket, we can give a key name. And because key name is string, so to put in a string format and you can pass. Okay. So okay, this is a typical syntax. If you use any other programming language, the same kind of syntax we use there. And now they only print T2 micro. T2 micro. So it is there in the moment. Now, same concept you can apply here. So you can copy this code and put over here and say my instance type. Let me comment this line. Type one more time. Instance type is this one. Okay. So we create a variable there and we're giving the reference. So we'll say we have a plan that whatever my team plan for Mumbai. Okay, they don't have to change in the code. They will go to variable file. They change here only. Maybe next time the plan for Mumbai change, they want to use some bigger instance type, they can go and change it. But we don't have to change anything over here. So this instance we plan for Mumbai, but what is instance type? I don't know. They will pick from it. And here they have T2 macro. So what happened when I run my code? Let me launch 1, count 1. Okay. And now this time if I apply, so this time what you will see, your instance type will come micro because my code will picking from the map. So they're kind of planning or references, guys. Also you can do there. Okay. So these are the things. There's like this. They have a lot of more information. Okay, we can do some count indexing also, and some more concept. It's more concepts typically used in programming language, but this more concept will help us to create a better plan, better code, and properly plan our strategy in better form. Okay, so let's keep this topic till here, guys. Now we'll add Azure cloud also in upcoming classes. You guys might know Azure also, or maybe if you know, that's nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we are going to guys share you some of our videos. We'll cover Azure cloud again from very basics to lots of advanced concept also we discuss there. So go through those videos. Even though guys, what we are planning tomorrow, there's no Terraform class. Utilize your tomorrow time to go to the video of Azure. Okay, so tomorrow there's no class. We have a class day after tomorrow, means on Friday. Okay, and on the Friday we'll start touching some topic of Azure also. Okay, so as we are going to adding multiple cloud, and as we going forward, we also learning some basic concepts. So multiple things go in parallel. Understanding, taking the multiple concept of Terraform also, solving some use case also, and taking multi-cloud also. So multiple things, guys, if you understand here, I am trying to take in per class wise. Okay, so that's all, guys, from my side. Any questions, any query, if you have, you guys can ask me. Yes, guys, I'm taking all the screenshot, whatever diagram I'm creating here, I am putting per day basis. Okay, and providing you in your per day doc in a Google Drive. Plus, code is also I'm sharing. Either I'm uploading the code or either I'm putting the screenshot of my code in your document. Okay. Please take the AWS training from scratch again. I don't think so, guys. I can take the training again because long discussion, long topic, a lot of things there. So it's just no plan to have the AWS training again. Sonu, you say you're stuck in this command. Okay. I don't know, Sonu, which account you log in with. Okay. If you can show me your further code also of connection, because in the connection, which command, which username you log in with. Okay. So just check, because sudo you're applying in your inline of provisioning of remote execute, but if that remote user don't have sudo power, okay, so it won't work. So to check also this point, right? So whichever the user you have login, check does user have a sudo power or not. Yes, Sagar, map is just like dictionary, exactly same. I'll try Pankaj to integrate with Kubernetes also. I'll try. Yes, Piyush, we can also put multi-value variables also, right? The way I show you, same format you can paste there. Okay, like list or map you can put there also. Yes, guys, you can put all the variables in your tfvar files. Okay, so this one, so this is string, y equals to true, this is a boolean. Okay, or what I say, uh, types would be your map. You can put the entire data here of the map, so like you can put here, it will work same way. Yes, Terraform is having a support of regex, Ruchika. Maybe I have some example of regex in upcoming classes. We'll see that, but they have a support for regex also. Yes, so we can change the prompt name also, right? They have a keyword in the variable block where you can change the prompt name also. When you take ELK class, I don't know, Prabhat, which are you part of Earth or not? So as such, there's no open plan for ELK. Can will who will give more weightage? Summer guys, both Anuj, both the learners has a different track altogether. For me, both has the same weightage, right? Somehow same weightage. Okay, but the all goal content plan future will be based what exactly you guys want to be. Service now, Sandeep, I right now no plan, but maybe soon we'll have. From 22nd, I will be engaged in my summer program that every year I do for 1.5 to 2 months. But yeah, after 2 months, we had a plan of service now somewhere. Yes, Arindam, I'll try to have a workshop blockchain also. We'll try. So, and I'm trying to pick the further queries here. Yes, Virja, you are right. The variable to TF is a file for I don't know what are you using with declaring or defining, but variable.tf file here I used to to tell this is the variable we're going to use. Maybe you can use the word declare, and tf where's extension file we use to assign the values. Okay, assign, I can say assign the default values. So so we have put you using EC2 user. I think you're using AWS cloud. So it looked good. Very stuck. I don't know. Very stuck. So the things that you write is looks good. I don't see as such any difficulty here. Okay. So can you tell me, Sonu, what error you're having, or maybe you can put in your respective WhatsApp group or Slack channel. Some technical volunteer gonna definitely help you. But as a very faster glance, your output, I don't see logical and different difficulty here. Because EC2 user has sudo power, and inline remote execution you are using sudo commands. So it should work. I don't know what error you're getting. If you can also help me with the error, or you can put it in your Slack channel. Somebody definitely help. So that's all, guys, for today, and we'll see guys some more concept Terraform in the upcoming class. Bye, take care, see you.